An organ donation is the process of surgically removing an organ or tissue from one person, which is the organ donor, and placing it into another person. Transplantation is necessary because the recipient's organ has failed or has been damaged by disease or injury. When you have an organ transplant, doctors remove an organ from another person and place it into your body. The organ may come from a living donor or a donor who has died. Unfortunately, the need for organ donors is much greater than the number of people who actually donate. The following are the list of organs that a person may donate.
Kita kena faham organ donation tu apa. Organ donation ni dia ada dua kaedah dia boleh buat. Pertama, kita boleh buat dalam semasa hidup, dan kedua selepas kematian. Okey. Dia semasa hidup ni biasanya tak banyaklah organ yang kita boleh terima. Biasa cuma buah pinggang dan sebahagian daripada kita punya hati, jantung tak. Kalau kita kita untuk survive lagi, kita tak boleh ada semua itu, cuma dua tu saja. Yang selepas kematian tu yang kita sekarang ni kita nak promosi selepas kematian lah, yang tu banyak. Yang tu jantung, paru-paru, hati, kita punya tulang, mata, apa semua, yang tu boleh. Yang tu banyak kita demalah lepas kematian.
So, who can donate an organ? It's just about anyone who is above 18 years old and can give consent can become an organ donor provided they are deemed fit and healthy to undergo the transplant.
So we follow the guidelines given by the Ministry of Health, and one of the criteria for you to become an eligible donor is that, especially as a living donor, is that person has to be medically fit. So you cannot be ill and be donating your organs to another person. So in these situations, when a living donor wants to donate, they have to go through quite a rigorous examination, blood testing, to make sure that both their kidneys are functioning normally, and that the donation of one of the kidney will not cause any form of detrimental health conditions to the living donor. To become a donor, if you don't have the ability to give that consent, so the name of this consent that we say is an informed consent. So if the donor does not understand, then it's not ethical. So understanding means that the medical practitioner or the team that is undertaking the transplant procedures must explain everything from A to Z to both the donor and the recipient. And when it is agreed by both, then it will be considered as ethical.
The improvement in medical and surgical techniques has not been matched with the parallel increase in the availability of organs for transplantation, and the problem of organ shortage has become more profound.
Suffering a shortage of donors right now in Malaysia?
Definitely. I think that's the problem all over the world. We are really we have shortage in organ donors because of religious reasons. Some people might not want to donate. Two, probably the awareness among the public might not be that great. The importance of organ transplant may not be that great because they are not affected. So only those people who are affected will feel the importance.
Alami atau biasa.
Okey. Mengikut kita punya statistik kan, sejak tahun 70-an lagi, kita cuma ada lebih kurang sampai sekarang lah 500 penerima saja. Tahun 70-an dah hampir 50 tahun dah. cuma ada 500 penerima saja. Itu daripada istilah kita.
Ada krisis
memang sangat ni. Terutamanya kita senarai menunggu untuk mendapatkan organ kalau kita tengok kan daripada dia ada yang paling banyak sekali kegagalan buah pinggang lah. Kidney failure tu hampir 30,000 senarai menunggu.
Hampir 30,000 orang senarai
dia 29,000 something itulah saya tak ingat. Hampir 30,000 menunggu untuk mendapatkan organ ni. Dan biasanya dalam setahun tu ada 2 ataupun 3 saja
yang akan menerima.
Akan dia orang dapat lah yang akan menerima tu. 2 ataupun 3 atau maksimum pun paling kuat pun 5 saja. Seluruh negara. Bukan satu ke lah.
And if you look at the back here, this is the article that we have researched and found in the internet that is related on for the problem statement. The current Human Tissues Act 1974 has a limited scope. The current act governs matters only related to consent and authorization of human organs removed from deceased donors. Nowhere is mentioned on the definition of tissue and does not protect the interest of the living donor. Therefore, a new bill, Organ and Tissue Transplantation Bill, has been drawn up to make sure the selling and buying of human organs, tissues is made illegal. Also to ensure that there is no element of exploitation or coercion involved in any case of living donation. It has not yet been tabled to this very day. Therefore, if we look at the back here, this is also another news article for our problem statement. Oh look, here's another one. A living donation such as the donation of one healthy kidney or a segment of a healthy liver from a living human being to another is arranged through the individual transplant centers according to the criteria they have in place.
Living donation as the person is still alive. In cases of caliber.
Okay, if you ask me this question when it comes to life and death, I think it is acceptable, and most part of the world it is acceptable. In certain part, they just go for cadaveric. Whereas in Malaysia, the law stipulates that you go for someone who's related who can donate to, for example, like mother to a child, father to a child, brother to a brother, siblings. That is acceptable in the sense like you know the person and you know the problem and they are not forced into it, they understand the real problem, and that's where it is important, because when compared to commercialized ones, living donor is still acceptable, and I would just still go for that.
Now live donors, of course, their organs are very fresh, and very fresh and good, fresh meat, so it's very good. But the problem here is that you can take organs from life. Sometimes you kill them. You kill those who are donating. So because why? You have to put them at risk. And so live donor is also a problem. And of course, sometimes people don't want to donate because they fear also, because every operation has risk.
So when it comes to the ethics question behind living donors, as long as it doesn't cause any harm to the living donor, then it is considered ethical. However, any form of procedures carries a risk. So these are things that the person that is donating must be aware of, because when they are donating, they can be given under general anesthesia, for example, and general anesthesia itself can cause complications. So the person that is giving consent must be aware of all the probable complications, the probable implications. So this is where the ethics come in. Nevertheless, when you're left with only one, that one kidney will become extra precious, because if anything happens to that existing one kidney that is left in the donor, then they no longer have a spare kidney.
Is it ethical to have living donation if the person is still alive?
You mean like
that person is still alive? Yes.
Of course, ethical.
Oh, it's ethical. Why do you think it's so?
Why do you think it's ethical? I mean, so long if the person is a willing donor, I think it's ethical.
If he is coerced or forced, then it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Here is another news article that we have researched on our problem statement. And there's another one just for you right here, this news article about the problem statement. In an article from New Straits Times, globally around 125,000 people undergo organ transplantation each year. This number is small in the face of demand for organs widely outstripping supply, creates an underground market for organs that are illicitly obtained from the poor. In the same article, human trafficking is the second largest criminal industry in the world, second only to illegal drug trade. According to a source, it is a very lucrative business, estimated to be around 32 billion USD or 127 billion ringgit industry annually, and it will be only a matter of time until it surpasses the drug trade.
People are selling their organs just to make more money.
As far as I know, Malaysia, we don't have that practice lah. I've only heard of such practice in other countries like maybe China, India, where the people are very poor and they actually sell their organs. As far as I know, Malaysia, nobody is in such predicament where they have to go and sell their organs.
So when it comes to the definition of commercialization, we have to make sure that we understand which part of it is being commercialized. Now, transplantation is a process that requires a lot of monetary process. It means that you have to make sure that your resources are there, your doctors are there, your nurses are there, the hospital is well equipped. The process of preparing the organs for transplantation itself also requires funding. It doesn't come for free and it's not cheap. So these are the things that we have to consider when we talk about commercialization. If it means selling the organs, then that would be unethical, that would be wrong. Because we know that organs, again, as you have mentioned, it should be given freely. But the process of it does not necessarily mean that it is free.
Different countries have different ways in promoting or encouraging their people to be a donor to help those in need of a transplant. Issues pertaining organ transplantation in countries are inclusive of legal and religious beliefs and how the transfer or transactions are conducted through their development in the medical field. Taking China, for instance, they used to extract organs from the prisoners without having the consent of the person itself, themselves, or their families. That resulted up to 95% in 2005. Hence, the government of China decided to enforce the stop of that practice as a severe and crucial practice by using the prisoners' organs were injustice due to it giving benefits more to the highest bidder rather than to those who really needed an organ per se. This change in 2010 was discussed through the China Medical Board first, alongside with Huang, a former Vice Minister of Health in China. China's organ transplantation mark or reformation have been promulgated by their state council through regulations on human organ transplantation in May 2007, which came into force, banning organ trading and the removal of a person's organs without their prior written consent, where it is the first law of organ transplantation in China, alongside with the criminal law amendment in prohibiting human trafficking and interim provisions on human organ procurement and allocation that was issued by the National Health and Family Planning Commission in 2013. On the other hand, Iran, which is a country that used to practice a trade system on organs, had legalized kidney selling, and it was as normal as selling a pair of shoes. In fact, Iran was the only country that allows the selling of kidney for organ transplantation purposes, and the first member of the Middle East Society for Organ Transplantation to perform a kidney transplant back in 1967. The evolution of the legal system regarding transplantation started off with having a waiting list in 1988, which was eliminated after 11 years, and in the present case, the Brain Death and Organ Transplantation Act was passed, and Iran naturally became one of the model countries in performing transplantation surgery. So Iran has reduced the practice of allowing payment for organs since there was an issue which was against the World Health Organization, as it gives benefits only those who are privileged and leaving those needing of organs left unattended. On the other hand, India is another country that regulated the Human Organs Transplant Act in 1994 to stop illegal organ transplant, and the procedures and formality were stated in the provision as well. So because this provision aims to allow transplantation in therapeutic cases and allowing brain deaf patients to be a donor and stop organs commercializing in India. Now, looking at the Islamic perspective of organ transplantation in contrast with the examples given like country of India, China, Islamic countries have a slightly different ruling in organ transplantation. The rulings of organ transplantation are not specifically mentioned in the Quran nor the Hadith. Hence, there would be the need for the Fatwa Council to deduce and practice their own ijtihad. Organ transplantation is permissible in Islam because the Maqasid Sharia under the protection of life, which is nafs, organ transplantation is considered to preserve the life of others. The Quranic verse 32 Surah Al-Ma'idah relates to organ transplantation where it saves the life of a person without harming the life of the donor. The Fatwa Council in each Islamic countries have their own say on organ transplantation. Fatwa of Mufti of Egypt, Dr. Muhammad Said Fantawi, Fatwa Committee of Kuwait and the National Fatwa Council of Malaysia all agree that by the consensus of the juries that organ transplantation is permissible in Islam.
Where the potential donor is an incompetent adult, the legal principles are more stringent. It will be necessary to show that these incompetent patients would benefit from becoming donors. Not merely that it is reasonable to expose them to the risk. This can be referred in the case of Miss Y, where in this case, Miss Y was 25 years old and had been severely mentally incapacitated and physically disabled from birth. Miss Y's sister saw a declaration that it would be lawful to perform blood tests and possible bone marrow extraction upon Miss Y, despite that the latter is inability to consent. Therefore, the court held that taking blood tests and harvesting of bone marrow from a person incapable of giving consent would be assault and illegal unless it is shown to be in the best interest of the person. The court decided that the transplant was in the best interest of Miss Y on the following factors. First, Miss Y would derive benefit from the visit which she received from her family, and second, chances of survival would be greatly reduced if the transplant is not carried out. Woo. Besides the case of Riwai, we can also refer to the case of Ri-Inaya, where in this case, an application to the family court was made by the parents of a 1-year-old child for a bone marrow transplant to be performed to assist her cousin who suffered from infantile osteoporosis. However, the Victorian Act, which was under a state law, has prohibited the removal of tissue from the child for its donation to anyone, except to save the life of a sibling. Therefore, the court stated that the donation of regenerative tissue was within parents' power, given that the Family Act already recognized the parent's right to consent to donate to siblings or to the others. Held that the Victorian prohibition on donation outside immediate family members was struck down for being inconsistent with the Family Law Act. Thus, the court decided that the application made for bone marrow transplant was allowed.
Well, I think again it goes to patient education. public education and educating the children right from at the school level, and that will create awareness among the children. When the children grow up, they will know about the importance of organ transplant rather than just advertising the public. Public as such might not know.
Jadi Malaysia ni kita buat sistem, kalau you nak jadi sekarang ni, kalau you nak jadi organ donor, you kena pergi opt-in. Maknanya you kena pergi cakap dekat pusat sumber, saya nak jadi organ donor. Now, negara macam Singapore and France, Belgium, jadi these countries, apa mereka buat, mereka nak make sure semua orang organ donor, mereka ada sistem opt-out. Opt-out ni maknanya kita semua organ donor, kalau you tak nak baru you pergi cakap.
Would you want to be an organ donor?
Probably. Yeah. Yes, I think so.
If someone offered you money in return for any of your organs, would you accept it?
No, because that is so wrong. No.
Why?
Because, well, if I wanted to give my organs, I would give it for free. I don't need money.
Okay.
If it's legal, then yeah.
If
I mean, like.